The National Weather Service warning of life-threatening flash flooding from Tropical Storm Debby. The storm upgraded to a Cat 1 late last night, then back to a tropical storm status late this morning. Forecasters say record-setting rain could pummel coastal Georgia and South Carolina as this storm moves east. The Coast Guard rescued two boaters adrift at sea after their vessel lost its sail off the coast of Boca Grande. That's north of Fort Myers as Hurricane Debby approached. Meteorologist Amy Metz joining us now live in Lake City, Florida with more on the storm. Amy, what's it look like where you are right now?
Well, it looks like water flying everywhere. Luckily for our broadcast, not to get interrupted, I did step away from all of the storm damage. Very extensive. Between Lake City, I drove on 27 from Perry. So we have a landfall near Perry, Florida, early this morning, and that's what I was following in that safer zone in the eye to get to Lake City, where now it is flooding concerns that are the biggest threat, but still 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts are hitting here. And in the next hour, that's going to be continuing from different directions. So trees that we're seeing down on the screen were between Perry and Lake City, Florida. That is still going to be passing, as we see on the satellite, into Georgia. There is a very small chance we could see this turn into a hurricane again along the east coastline. Either way, there's going to be record amounts of rain in some locations. 2 to 4 feet of storm surge there around Big Bend, where we saw that make a landfall, and that's going to be added in with that flooding, all of that downstream water. So that's where it's a risk. Florida is very flat, so a lot of these roads you cannot tell that they are covered in water, and if driving fast, it can make a driver go out of control. So those are the kinds of things we need to watch for: the hydroplaning, tree limbs falling. Even at this point, I have seen some metal posts break. And so these were ones that did not look as thick as our regular street lights, but there were multiple downed signs, road signs as well, for spanning about 20 to 30 miles. So we need to be keeping aware of this as over the next couple of days into Georgia and South Carolina, and honestly up the entire East Coast as it interacts with another low pressure. Even into New York and New England, there are going to be risks for tornadoes in the next few days through the end of the week. So I hear sirens behind me again now. Line workers have been going every which way, and it's going to remain busy here for the next day and a half with very heavy rainfall. Back to you.
Yeah, Amy, you know, I've covered quite a few hurricanes, but I've done it from the security of the studio instead of being out in it. But one thing I have learned over the years is the component of hurricanes that is wind, certainly that gets a lot of attention and can do damage, and we're showing some of that on the screen right now. But what you're talking about right now that make rain, you were talking about 2 to 3 feet of rain. I mean, that can do significant damage. Talk about that for a moment, if you will.
Yes, so what the problems there are going to be, one, we have very saturated grounds. So when we continue to get that rainfall, it no longer takes 60 miles an hour to push over a tree. At that point, we'll start to see entire uprooted trees in as little as 50 miles an hour. So soaked soil can have that hazard. Soil can have that hazard, along with the power lines that are already downed. There's going to be tornadoes that have the chance of downing more power lines, for which there's still 250,000 customers without power right now. But one of those hazards, along with the down lines, is going to be live wires. If anybody is touching the water in which a live wire is also touching, there is a high risk of electric shock and death with that. So these are other things to watch out for. But if you do need to get out of somewhere that's dangerous and you're driving, it is okay to drive over those. If you're safe, you're not letting them hang and dangle onto your car or the metal, just the rubber wheel only. So this rain is going to be affecting the southeast for days and days. We're talking about another week. So it's not just today. It's not just while the outer bands of Debby are passing by.
Amy, thank you so much for that report. And we'll be thinking of the people along the southeast. We'll check in with you again to keep track of the progress of Debby and all that rain. Thank you so much.